mean, it went over really well. And the only reason it's not more well known today is because I stopped. So I presented in spring of '02, got the job at Dixie State in late summer of '02, very late in the year. They'd closed the position and opened it back up again. And I was targeting this place. I wanted to be here. I loved this place. I wanted to raise my kids here. And it was clear to me that this university needed, I liked building programs. I liked doing and starting, having the opportunity not to just do what's been done, but to do new and exciting things. And I felt like my whole life up to this point had prepared me to come to Dixie. So we got here. The job offer came so late that I started teaching a week after school started. That's how late we, dropped off the moving van and went to class.
and had to create all the curriculum and the syllabi and all of that on that short of notice.
Well, and it was wonderful. I had come from the largest music department in the state of South Dakota, coming to Dixie State College at the time, asking my colleagues, which were spread throughout the campus because they just demolished the old Harris Fine Arts, what am I supposed to do? No one was telling me what to do. And I was told, do whatever you want. I was like, really? Yes. So away we went. And so I became obsessed with building this program that, the actual application of my studies up to that point was more important to me than promoting my research. It was still important to me, and I had submitted it for publication in the Journal of Voice. And it had to be peer reviewed, and it was rejected by the same two people who had rejected it then and there.
The woman who's unnamed.
Well, the woman's protege.
Oh, I see.
I mean, they're supposed to be anonymous, but I knew because I read the exact same things they said to me, and it was just spiteful, and they jumped to the same wrong conclusions. But I had other opportunities. The Journal of Singing used to be called the Nats Journal. Had asked me to submit it to them for publication, which is not in as high esteem as the Journal of Voice, but it has a wider readership, so I would have done that anyway. And I did publish in a European journal, and one in South Dakota, not a big deal, but I was going to pursue it and fight it. And then my son died. And my whole perspective in life flipped again, as life does to you. It was a diffuse pontine glioma, a brainstem tumor, random mutation, 1 in 100,000 people. He was 10 years old. And suddenly trying to prove my research or defend my research, it wasn't important anymore. And I thought, if it's not important enough for people to come to me to ask about it, I'm not going to spend my life chastening it anymore. And so I threw myself into my work here at Dixie State, and we did some unprecedented things.
Oh, very much so.
When I came here in the fall of '02, I had 2 voice students and 3 struggling choirs. By 2010, we were signing over 100 voice students. And at one point, we had 5 choirs. And when I came here, they weren't really they're doing some musicals with backtracks, but in terms of doing fully costumed, fully staged with orchestra, weren't doing that at all. Within 2 or 3 years, we were doing them routinely and winning awards.
Yeah, well, we took Jekyll and Hyde to KCA CTF in Phoenix. That was
2004, the first one in the new building.
Yeah.
That was an amazing show.
And that was 2005. We went to Phoenix and did that. I think we got some good stuff from that, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, our guy who's playing Jekyll.
2 of them, Skylar and Ryan.
Skylar Scott won Actor of the Year. That was the award. So not only did we perform at KCA, he got Actor of the Year. And these are national awards. Varlo said people are coming up to him saying, "Oh, will you please tell us about your graduate program?" And he'd smile wryly and he'd say, "We don't have a graduate program." "Oh, tell me about your bachelor's degree." "We don't have a bachelor's degree." "You don't have a bachelor's degree?"
It was a 2-year at that point.
That's right. "Where are you getting all of this talent?" "It was laying around down here in St. George." And that was the first of 4 national awards that we received in a 6-year period. And I submit we would have received much more, but the state chapter couldn't keep awarding us year after year.
They felt like they were giving you guys more than they should have? Or?
At the time, we were the only university in the state of Utah where music and theater, vocal music and instrumental music, were fully collaborating. Where our students were in the pit, our students were singing in the choruses, our students were producing the show.
Yeah, I played in the pit for two of them, in 2011 and 2012. I think you did one of those, being Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah.
With Varla Davenport, of course.
Oh, yeah. That show, I think that was record attendance, record revenue. That one was. That was a great show.
It was very well done.
We had so many wonderful shows.
Even if your wife did throw a mop into the pit.
Okay. Yeah, you deserved it. Yeah.
That's fair.
She still blushes.
I was hidden underneath a bunch of other stuff because they built the stage on top of us a little bit anyway.
No, Varlo and I, when he first asked, he came to me in 2003. How would you like to collaborate and do musicals? I'm like, oh, would I? Let's go. We did Scarlet Pimpernel right out of the chute. Did it in the Cox because we didn't have any of the theater. Then Quilters, and then Jekyll and Hyde, and we were off and running. Sky was the limit. We did any musical that came to mind. We were fearless, because I trusted in his gift. He trusted in my gift. We both trusted in Gary Caldwell's gift. And the three of us together were of the same exact mindset on how to run a production, how to treat students humanely, respectfully, and fairly, which of course made everybody thrilled. Our shows were fun to be in, fun to work on because we didn't abuse their time, we didn't abuse their schedules, and we were cranking out. Well, Varlo and I sat down. I remember having this conversation. I'd like to develop a music theater performance program that allows people to be part of our shows without sacrificing their relationships and their lives, as is so often the case in community theater where, these all-nighters and stuff like that. And we did. 5 nights a week from 5 to 7, Monday through Friday. That was our rehearsal. And we were organized and prepared enough that not only did it worked magnificently. Always prepared.
Yeah, I was a part of a couple of those. So
Golden Age.
That was very nice.
Great shows. Sondheim's, Stephen Schwartz, I think it did almost
Gilbert and Sullivan.
Oh, so Greg Gilbert and Sullivan, yeah. And he wanted to do opera. Oh man, we can't forget probably the most demanding Gilbert and Sullivan of all, the Gondoliers. We killed that. You guys killed it. Cast of 40.
It was quite a large cast and a difficult show to do with how it's separated into two very different stories and then pushed together as one. We even had Trey announce the show at the beginning of it by explaining the plot just so that the audience would understand it.
Oh, you guys are amazing. Such talent. The set designs and the costumes and the orchestra and the singers. It doesn't get any better than that.
I think that we had a couple of shows in there that would probably be what we might call like the pinnacle right there.
That's hard for me to say because...
I'll tell you, for me at least, in my collegiate time, being in Gondoliers and then being in Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh, that was amazing. Sunday in the Park, you guys, that just made me cry. That's a hard show to pull off. Musically, dramatically, set design, and costuming. You have to look like the painting.
Going from 1880s to 1980s.
That was Varlo's swan song. That was amazing. That show, you would weep at the beauty of that show. You and Corinne, the whole cast. It was amazing. Such camaraderie in the cast because our audition process was not divisive. Remember, the auditions were fun.
They were a little bit scary.
Because they were open auditions. Everybody got to see everybody else. Academically, educationally, it's how you learn.
Yeah, we all sat in a room and sang one of 4 songs, and everyone had to sing one of those 4, and they were chosen from the show themselves. And
to show specifically whether they could perform a role or not, right? and you'd all come with your A game on, all dressed up to the nines, and get up there and sing, and you could do it again if you didn't feel good about it. And people were cheering for each other and laughing with each other. And then that way, when the cast list was produced, there was no question because everybody saw the same thing. And if there were a question, they could come and talk to us about it. And thereby, the audition process, instead of being scary, which it's always going to be scary, but instead of being scary and devastating, it serves an educational purpose. Anyway, the talk every year at the beginning of the new semester. What shows are we doing? What shows are we doing? We
Putting that all together.
did some great stuff.
And during all of that, you were still teaching private voice. You were still doing choir.
There was a time
Still
period.
teaching pedagogy, diction for singers, vocal literature.
Things grew so quickly, and it was so rewarding for me and so exciting for me that I just worked. And at the time, because we were just this college, we weren't a university yet. They hadn't really put their arms around how to calculate our faculty load. Because at that time, they were not counting private vocal instruction as part of my teaching load.
So how many students did you have at your
I was
max?
teaching I was teaching close to 100 students a week. At one point, while conducting 3 choirs, teaching pedagogy classes, and directing the musical. I was young enough, I was excited enough, I could do that. I couldn't do that today.
Thankfully, they started to see that they needed another person, another few people around.
Right.
They got Dr. Robert Briggs for a period of time. He took over one of the choirs, and I believe
Well,
also,
we split responsibilities. We split the choirs and the voice students.
yeah, and he also took some of the vocal jazz project for a period of time.
So, yeah, but that was what I meant to say was at the peak when I was doing everything by myself, I was teaching the equivalent of 3 or 4 faculty loads. A teaching load is about 12 hours, and I've calculated I was doing about 40. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. And we were going to competitions and stuff. But
It was a fun time.
those were wonderful times. We had this new building, state-of-the-art facilities, all the talent in the world, and the community, the surrounding community was waking up to what was being offered there. We were recruiting more and more students from the community. We were having space issues. Where do we put all these students? And having a blast doing it. The unity in that building between the students and faculty in music and theater was,
I've never seen it ever of any other place.
nor have I.
I went to another college for a couple of years between Dixie and Dixie. I was there in 04 and I came back in 10. And, the other college I went to, I loved. Great musical theater program. But there was definitely a divide where the music students had to sit on one couch and the theater students had to sit on the other couch. And if you tried to go from one to the other, then you were shunned. And me auditioning for a musical when I was a music student was taboo. And,
Yeah.
and getting a lead over a person who was a theater student was so...
How dare.
Oh, it was so terrible. How dare I do that? And then getting back down to Dixie, I was shaken. I thought, I'm not going to even bother. So for the first couple of years being back, I didn't do any shows. In 10 and 11 and even the beginning of 12, I played Pitt in the orchestras. I accompanied the choirs.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. I just instead said, okay, I guess I'm just a pianist here. And then I finally got around to auditioning for the shows again and was able to get some really good, fun parts as a result.
Well, you can sing. Really well.
A little bit. And usually when I do my Mandy Patinkin impression, that's when I can sing my best. But the camaraderie that I felt was shocking to me because there was no discerning line between theater and music or even singers and instrumentalists. Everyone got to do a little bit of everything and everyone supported each other. The fact that the Pit was actually recognized
And paid.
and cared about.
The student pit orchestra was paid from the funds generated from private lessons that I was teaching.
I did not know that part. That's awesome.
It was amazing. It was
I
amazing.
used to have to be the pianist behind in all the rehearsals as well, and that was a work study program, and that was quite a lot of hours.
That was the other fun thing. When I was doing everything, we were all under the same pedagogical umbrella. So what they were learning in choir, what they were learning in their lessons, and what they're being taught on the musical theater stage, perfectly unified.
It all came together all at the same time.
Made sense. So anyway, it was so fun because I remember there were voice majors who were taking acting classes. And there were actors who were joining the choirs and taking voice lessons, which was the best possible thing for this conglomerate art form of music theater.